to have the communication on the chat on the right side of the window. So please also post your questions in there, and I will then collect the questions and direct them to the speakers.
Okay, so I think we can start. We also started recording. Welcome everyone to the Flash Talk on Urban Water Management. So today, Dekker from University of Applied Sciences in Cologne and me, Ania Wilk-Pham from Technical University of Berlin, we will moderate this discussion. We have 6 presentations today, and we divided the presentations into 3 groups. So we will have always 2 presentations and then 2 or 3 questions after the presentations. So the first 2 presentations, the first one will be from Abdul Rahman from Lahore University of Management Sciences in Pakistan, who is working on techniques on measuring water flows in the urban water supply systems. And today he will present the case study of Karachi. And the second one, I will ask Ashwin from Madras School of Economics in Chennai, India, to present the factors influencing adoption of smart water metering and domestic water consumption, and a case study of Chennai Metropolitan region. So Abdul, you can start, the floor is yours. It looks like there is no oh yes, no.
The struggles of a digital conference, right?
Abdul, I think there's not good connection because we can also not see your screen. But then maybe I would then invite Ashwin to start so we exchange the presentation. Okay, now we have Abdul. Perfect. Abdul, can you say something? We can see your presentation. We cannot hear you. Now your microphone is off. Now it's on.
Maybe try to turn off your camera. That can sometimes improve the quality of the connection.
Is it working?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah. Also the screen?
Yes, you can share the full screen maybe, or the full view.
Yeah.
And it works perfect.
Yeah, so I'll just start. Thank you everyone, and really apologies for the technical glitches.
Okay, I think we cannot hear Abdul. And Abdul, please contact the technical support. And maybe we just try to switch right now to the second presentation from Ashwin Ram from Madras School of Economics, the case study of Chennai.
We actually just saw your screen. Maybe you can go back to the tab.
Yeah, you have to turn on your microphone so that the green light is on. Ashwin, can you try to share your PDF again?
Hello.
You uploaded
Hello.
it to the library, right?
Yeah, no. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'll share my screen. Okay, is my PDF visible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, thank you. I'll be presenting a part of my ongoing research on water management. So this is part of my PhD project. Since the time is very short, I just wanted to give a brief background to the topic. So several cities in India are actually facing water shortages, and according to the recent Indian government think tank, large cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, and Chennai are soon expected to run out of groundwater and face high risk of day zero. So Chennai, with a population of about 11 million people, continue to face recurrent periods of intense drought and flood. And recently, in 2019, Chennai made headlines as to facing one of the worst drought in about a decade. Right. In contrast, like in 2015, it also made headlines to face one of the worst flood in about a century. So how come a city with which received abundant rainfall in 2015 ended up completely going dry in 2019 is purely because of mismanagement of the resource and the lack of political will to change from the status quo. So as part of my study, actually, I conducted a household survey across 450 households spread across the Chennai Central and South zones. So the majority of the households actually fall under the South zone, which is actually a newly developed area along the IT corridor, and are not connected to the piped water supply, municipal water supply. So this actually gives you a brief, the stages of the data collection and the timeline of the stages in which the households actually implemented the water metering. So, so the majority of the households actually fall under the South zone. So they are actually fall under the gated communities, but whereas for households in T Nagar, Aripuram, and Kilpak or the flat type, medium-sized apartments. So to get into the results, so we after collecting the data, we ran a quick scatter plot diagrams and correlation test, and found that the behavioral and psychology factor seems to have a relative high influence on water consumption, while the household demographic and technology had a relatively moderate impact on water consumption, while most of the dwelling characteristics had a very low impact. So to draw your attention to the pie charts, the major factor for households to adopt smart metering is the lack of trust among the households over the neighbors' water usage, which actually is resulting in irregular water conflicts. And this behavior of households we actually term it as neighbor syndrome. So, which is the major driver of the household's decision to adopt smart metering, followed by households' opinion to reduce water consumption and bill. And then, I mean, only about 8% of the sampled households actually felt environment and intergenerational equity concerns to drive metering adoption. So in contrast, like if you see the opinion on reducing water demand, it is not just installation of metering that is actually incentivizing the households to reduce water demand, but it is actually a mixture of both economic and non-economic policy measures to which is actually needed. Because actually from the chart, like we could see that pricing, which is across the world, especially in developing countries, is highly inelastic. The residential water demand is inelastic to changes in price. So we also saw that a majority of the high-income households are actually adopting water-saving technologies post-metering. In contrary to the popular belief, nudges or in that matter, like awareness or capacity-building initiatives have very little impact on reducing water demand. So more than half of the population actually felt it is a mixture of various policy, technology, and non-policy measures that could actually drive water conservation and efficiency. So we actually, the major reason is because traditionally in India there's more focus given on supply driven approaches. So there's with increase in population and water scarcity becoming a very major issue, the government should seriously consider switching from supply side management to demand side management. And from our preliminary findings, we also saw that water conflicts in households, apartment complexes are pushing community to consider water metering and pricing. But this needs a careful attention because the welfare concern should also be considered. And it can be, the initial analysis also revealed that the high or upper middle income and high income households are switching to more water saving technologies. And so it's government should seriously consider implementing water metering, as it is expected to result in multiple positive spillover effects on water conservation. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we jump to the questions, maybe I would like to check if Abdul already figured out the technical problems. Are you able to connect now, or should we jump to the next one? Okay. Then I would say we move to the next presentation, and after this presentation, we will have the questions. So I would like to invite Kexin Liu from the Tokyo Institute of Technology, and she will show us the results of the work of the Institute of Technology in Tokyo and the Institute of Technology in Cambodia. Please, the floor is yours. We can't hear you. Please turn on your microphone. We can see already your screen.
Can you hear my voice?
Perfect, yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Kexin from Tokyo Institute of Technology. Today, I will share a joint research with ITC. Our research title is Monitoring Urban Flash Floods and the Transport of Pollutant and Passengers using SWMM. This is our research area. It's located in the downtown Phnom Penh City, Cambodia. The background is urbanization and climate change have increasing the risk of urban flood.
We cannot see your presentation. We can see your screen, but not presentation.
Oh, sorry. Can you see my screen now?
1 second, it's turning. Yes, now it's perfect. We can see the presentation. Maybe you can just do the full screen view.
Okay, our background is urbanization and climate change have increasing the risk of urban flood and water pollution, affecting people's safety and health. For better water management in the future, it's essential to identify the vulnerable zones for the future planner. So our research objective is to simulate and quantify urban drainage capacity and temporal variation of pollutants and passengers. And this is our research flow chart. EPA SWMM is a useful tool for recognizing the overloaded drainage pipe and important subcatchments. The required data were input into the models after processing by GIS and Kate. This Python package used for calibration. The first day we need to input the parameter ranges of each modules into the program, and then the parameter value were estimated by NSGA2 algorithm, and the best solution will be determined by the peak flow error, NSE and R-square value by comparing the simulated data with the observed data. In our water quantity model, it was calibrated and validated by 4 rainfall events. From this table's result, we can see our quantity model's performance is satisfactory. Based on this, we built the water quality model. We simulated the flow and COD SS equally for 3 months of 2019. From these results, we can conclude SWMM model successfully reproduced the flood events, including those with overloaded situation, and indicates the insufficient current drainage capacity, and simulated result of SS equally and COD will capture the observed temporal variation of concentration in response to the rainfall. In contrast, simulated concentration during the non-rainfall period showed relatively large differences from those observed. In the future work, we will be focused on improve the model simulation accuracy and in suggesting some method to improve the current situation. That's all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Liu. We didn't see, we only saw the main screen, main slide, but it's okay. We will check the presentations afterwards. Maybe we just move to the questions now, Greta.
Yeah, we can move to the questions, and of course, everyone is invited to look at the posters in the poster booth. So, firstly, a question for Ashwin Ram. And the question is from Simon de Sterke in the chat. He wanted to know if all the water use were metered or only the piped water.
No, actually, the water use is actually it's at the individual household level, and about like 350 households are actually doesn't have piped water supply, which actually means that all the and the rest of the households, like there are samples which are not connected to the pipe supply and are also connected to the pipe municipal supply. So all the water usage is being metered. And second thing is actually there is disaggregation. Maybe like you can actually, that depends upon, these are meters actually installed by private players. It's not installed by the utility government. So depending upon the subscription plan, we can actually know where the data from the disaggregated level, like from indoor. This is basically from indoor water use to see if the water, like how much has been consumed in at the kitchen level, latrine like that. But it depends upon the subscription. But to answer that question, it's actually both piped and non-piped supplies actually being metered. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for answering the question. And I don't see at the moment questions for Kexin Yu in the chat, but I actually have a question if there is someone else with an urgent question. So Kexin, what are the characteristics of the areas with the highest risk of inundation and the high pollutant charge? What did you find from your results? How would you describe these areas?
Okay, so actually I told you that there are about 8 apartments. Yeah.
The question was for the next speaker, actually. Ashwin.
Okay, sorry.
Because we go to this area And to fight this situation is really horrible, especially this channel is in the downtown Phnom Penh City. It's really, really dirty and full of many garbage. So we want to do something for this city. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And with that, I think we go to the next batch of presenters.
Okay, so now I will invite Irem Daloglu from Bogachi University in Turkey. She will explain us modeling, a little bit about modeling water security of a metropolitan under future climate and population scenarios. And after that, directly, I will ask Mirka Mobilia from University of Salerno, Italy, to explain how using satellite imagery could be helpful to detect land cover change and suitability for green roof retrofit in the Pretoria municipality. So Irem, I think you can start.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, please turn on the full...
Yes, I will do it. Don't worry. Okay, so welcome all. This is a poster, and I'm going to do a flash talk about it, which is not going to be comprehensive, of course, in 3 minutes. But if you have more questions, we can go over the poster presentation. So I would like to present our model results that focus on scenario-based analysis of climate change and urban dynamics impact on water supply and demand in Istanbul. So Istanbul is a highly populous metropolitan with over 15 million people. It has high industrialization and urbanization rates, and it's significantly water stressed. So we use the WEAT model to understand the water supply and demand balance of this metropolitan for the near future until 2100. So here we have supply nodes. In the city, we have 10 reservoirs, but some of them are within the city limits, but a number of them are outside the city limits. And on top of it, we have the Melan River. It's a river 250 kilometers away from the city. And the municipality is investing financially to transfer water from this watershed, which is away from the city limit, to supply the demand nodes of 39 municipalities. They have both domestic and industrial demand. Our focus was to look at the impacts of climate change. We used different GCMs and looked at RCP 4.5 and RCP 8.5 scenarios. And on top of it, we created plausible future scenarios that look at increase projections and also the investment of the municipality for increasing water efficiency. So in other words, technological changes. I'm going to pass this one pretty quickly, but this panel shows different scenarios, the impact of low technology or the impact of investing in technology and the impact of population. And here you can see that the highest unmet water demand, this is showing the unmet water demand. Highest unmet water demand is happening with no surprise when there is low technological investment and high population increase. This is gray, this is green bars. And we see that under business as usual, if everything goes like this, we would still have unmet water demand. The blue bars are showing that. The lowest unmet would happen if we invest more on increasing technological improvement and at the same time try to limit the urbanization or flux of rural population moving into this metropolitan. But the most important, the highlight of this study was to look at the dependency on external water resources. Here in this panel, you see that the upper one is for RCP 4.5 scenario and the lower one is for RCP 8.5 scenario. And we wanted to see how much this city is depending on external water resources, the ones that is not having any rule on it, creating environmental injustice by using it. So the blue bars are showing us the hypothetical scenario of excluding all of the external reservoirs, the one that is 250 kilometers away, the one that's outside the city boundaries. We see that very significant water unmet is going to be observed if we only solely depend on local reservoirs. And again, even if we use all of the reservoirs around the city will have high water unmet demand in the near future. So the purpose of this study was to, again, as I said, use a modeling initiative to understand the impact, but at the same time, we are using this study to show that the municipality can no longer work on supply management, but has to change its philosophy to move on towards demand management and invest more on technological improvements to increase efficiency. So more can be found on the poster session, and more than welcome to receive your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we can jump directly to the other presentation, Mirka Mobilia. You can start sharing your... Irem, I think you have to stop sharing your screen. So yes, and then the next presentation. Do we have Mirka Mobilia in the room? Okay, if not, then I would directly jump to the presentation of Mariana Crispin. Mariana, are you ready? We cannot hear you. You can turn off your microphone. Mariana is a dual degree PhD student from University of Sao Paulo and from Lund University in Sweden. I think you can start to share your screen now.
Yes, I'm just waiting because it's open, the file, but I cannot see here in the share screen option. I don't know if it takes some time. Yes. Let me try again. Yes, I don't know why. Now, yes, now I can see. Can you hear me well and see my screen?
We can hear you and we can see the screen. Yes.
It's okay. Now it's a full screen. Hello, everyone. My name is Mariana, and I will present part of my PhD study today. And it's about resource recovery in developing countries, particularly in mega cities. And in this study, I evaluated the situation and explored potentials for improvement of implementation. And the motivation was that there is very few studies about this topic in developing countries. So there is a lack of data to support implementation, the data about wastewater treatment and about real examples of resource recovery. And then it's difficult to make a progress towards implementation, particularly in these countries. And mega cities are cities with more than 10 million inhabitants. You can see the world mega cities in this map. In purple are the current mega cities, and in pink, the future mega cities by 2030. So the idea of this study was to analyze, the aim was to analyze the situation of implementation of resource recovery practices from wastewater treatment in mega cities of developing countries and evaluate the potentials for implementation at different scales. And the focus was on macrometropolis of São Paulo, which is the most populous area in Southern Hemisphere. You can see in the map is located in São Paulo state in the southeast region of Brazil, and it's very populous with more than 33 million inhabitants. This region faces absolute water scarcity and other related issues and is representative of other similar megacities in developing countries. The data was collected based on questionnaires that were sent to the plant managers in the region, and the sample was 143 wastewater treatment plants distributed in the study area. The results of this survey showed a very low implementation in this region. Only 26% of the plants performed some resource recovery, and the most common was water reuse from the treated effluent for internal purpose. There is a very high potential for expanding water reuse, particularly for industrial purpose. Sewage sludge is disposed in landfills in all of the plants except in 3 plants that recycle nutrients from sewage sludge composting. And there is no energy recovery, so we can see there is a very good opportunity to implement other resource recovery solutions in the region. And this picture shows a framework that I developed to support planning and to facilitate decision making. And this includes several local key factors to support implementation. And in the end, the user can identify which resource is priority and which technology is more sustainable to apply to recover that resource. These are the conclusions. So the results should support planning of resource recovery projects. These are the reasons why there is a low implementation in Brazil and in other developing countries. And if there is someone more interested, these are the papers that you can consult, or you can we can chat in my poster booth, and you are very welcome to make any question. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Should we jump to the questions right now, Greta, or?
Yeah, we can jump to the questions. I actually don't see burning questions at the moment, so that's good for me because I have some questions. Even though, Irem, I had questions for you quite a lot actually, but you always answered my questions with the next slide. So the thing that's left to ask, and you already also answered some aspects of that, is what is actually the adaptation strategy for Istanbul that you recommend? So what's the way in the future?
Okay, very good question. It's a tough one because the city is growing and growing. And up until now, the municipality is most of the time investing for directing water from external watersheds because there is no other way to sustain that demand. Right now, we are going through a drought spell, like rest of the region, and the reservoirs are pretty empty. So now the municipality is investing more on the demand management because there is no longer to fulfill the demand from the existing resources. What they're doing is they're distributing water efficiency taps, some of the small appliances to be applied for free, especially for those who they are providing financial support. So they have the network because they're giving financial support to certain families and they're distributing these appliances for free. So I think that's the way to go. They have to find a way. They have to certainly invest more on demand management, no longer for supply management. And we are in close contact with the municipality and showing these model results. I think that's the way to go, integrating academic knowledge and trying to reduce the policy motivation. So we're working on that. I see one question. I would like to know a little more about the WEEP tool. WEEP is a pretty applied tool where you can, it's a simple one. I think it's developed by Sweden. It's free to use and it's not a complicated tool. It doesn't have so much data requirement, but the focus is looking at the demand and supply balance. So you have to provide the existing demand nodes and the supply nodes of the watershed that you're looking at. It's not used for quality purposes, it's used for quantity purposes only. It's easy to use and it's easy to communicate. So if you have policy connections, if you're delivering the knowledge to policymakers, it's a good tool to be used.
Thank you very much. And, I'm sure you can explain more about your very interesting study actually in your poster booth. And I'm looking forward to visit it also. Thank you. Okay, and anyone else than myself having a burning question for Mariana? I don't see one here, but I have one, and I actually wanted to know where do you see the role of capacity building in the resources recovery question from wastewater. So to what extent do you think it is a lack of knowledge that this is possible rather than a technological question?
Yes, this is a very good question, and we noted, based on the survey, one of the questions, some of the managers reported that we noted that there is a lack of technical knowledge about the options, mainly for energy recovery. So they need this technical knowledge also to improve acceptance and so they can understanding the importance of resource recovery and change the cultural behavior and to implement, because they make the decision. So what was done in this for to deal with this challenge was that after the survey, I promoted a workshop with them to explain the main results in a more accessible language. And so we started a collaboration, and we applied this framework in one of the plans to support the implementation and this knowledge exchange from the research with more technical information about the technologies. And so I think the technology is not the problem. They are available. But these more engagement and collaboration and awareness about the solutions is missing. So I think the framework is a way to deal and to disclose collaboration among university and the practitioners.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So interesting. And I'm looking forward to also visiting your poster booth. I saw you had already a look around and contacted already. So
thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. I can see that Mirka Mobilia joined again. Maybe we can try now to see the presentation and see if the microphone is already working. Can you? Yes. We can see you now, Mirka. We can't hear you. Okay. Maybe you can still again try to contact the technical team, and we will see if Abdul Rahman has already better connection and can share his presentation. Abdul, can you hear us? Okay, now we see the screen of Mirka, but we can't hear you. Okay, it seems like both of you, Abdul Rahman and Mirka, you are both having technical issues with sound. I would then invite all of the people to just check the poster booth, and maybe you will be also able to upload the presentation or video presentation there. There is also this option, so you can record yourself and upload it in this part. Yeah, and maybe I would invite you. Okay, Mirka is trying to still connect from another device, but in the meantime, I would like to ask you if anyone else would have more questions to any of the speakers that managed to present.
There's one question for Mariana.
Yes.
Would you be able to write it in the chat? The question? All right.
Can you hear my audio now?
Abdul, yes, we can hear you. Let us answer the question, first, and then jump to you if it's going to work, but we can hear you perfectly. Mariana, would you like to answer the question first?
Yes. Yes, some of the questions were related to interesting of them, the managers, related to future projects or current initiatives related to resource recovery, and only 20% of the managers reported some interest in developing further projects on resource recovery. So I would say no currently. Depends on the utility, because in this area it joins 174 municipalities, so there are different companies. In some cases it's a private company, in other cases it's the municipality that manages and is responsible for the treatment, so it is variable. I cannot say that all of the wastewater treatment plants are not interested. So there are some that are more advanced, but most of them are not interested, based on our sample. So unfortunately, this is the current scenario, but I think the framework and this collaboration with them, maybe it's something to motivate and stimulate this change of the vision, not only the treatment, but also more proactive and thinking on water reuse or recycle the sewage sludge in other strategies to make the plant more sustainable.
Okay. And thank you for answering the question. Abdul, should we try for the last time with you? We don't have much time. We are actually running out of time, but we can try to connect again.
Yeah, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
And audio?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Perfectly.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you, each and every one of you. And I know we are out of time, so I'll just briefly go through it. I'll start with the story of Karachi city. My presentation is about our experience of initiating the design of digital monitoring of the supply side of the water system. Karachi is the biggest city of Pakistan. It encompasses at least 20 million population in it, and it is an arrival city for the migrants across Pakistan. The water system is consisted of 10,000 kilometers of pipe network, and the infrastructure is 40 to 50 years old. There is only one public water utility, and the system is working on a monopoly basis. So the overall system is suffering from three major issues, such as high non-revenue water, mismanagement and corruption, and financial unsustainability. So since this is a wicked problem, we started doing field survey. We collected the available documentation. One of the biggest challenges was that there was no documentation or information available, since the current practices are not aligned with the latest practices of water management. We found out that there was huge leakage and pilferage, in which 30% of the water is lost. So we tried to follow the stakeholders mobilization. We did some field surveys. After that, we planned to start the technical interventions with the help of we thought our first step should be measuring how much supply are we getting from the reservoir. So we started the digital monitoring of the supply side, and we planned on designing a digital decision support system for the utility, so that they can estimate how much of the water is currently available to us, so that they can decide the demand and manage it accordingly. So this is the pictorial illustration of the on the left hand side. It represents the supply side, where at the very top there is a reservoir named Kinjar Lake, and the water travels almost 60 kilometers from the lake to the pumping house, and then it further distributes in the city. So the green points illustrate where we wanted to monitor the water, and we first monitor it, we measure it, and then we transmit the data into these portals. And this portal is designed so that everyone in the public and the water utility will have access to the water information. So in a way, we are also trying to solve the public accessibility to the water, because a lot of the information, lack of information can create many problems, and we are mostly trying to solve that. So this was a brief presentation. I can share the paper and details in the poster booth.
Thank you, Abdul. Thank you so much for trying to connect again and again and bridging these technical troubles and being able to show up and present here. That's great. We are seriously out of time and already over our time. So I would direct all the questions that are burning with all the participants for your work to the poster booth. And I myself also had some question, and I will make sure to visit your poster in a poster booth and communicate there with you in the chat.
Mm-hmm. And the same for Mirka Mobilia. We will ask you also to add the presentation there. I'm sorry that we are out of time and we had all of these technical problems. Okay. I'm going to send you guys back to the lobby. Thank you very much for participating and for the great presentations.
Thank you, everyone. Great work. Super interesting.